How beautiful. Thank you. It's different than the crown of creation that I remember. Anton knows which one I'm referring to. The old Jefferson Airplane song. Good morning again. So our theme today is living your purpose. Living your purpose. And I love that song because it's so much about finding through whatever struggles, whatever we need to do, finding that peace, that love, that whatever is in our heart. And that's where it is. That's where our purpose is in our heart. And if you guys, Damien, could you bring me down a little bit, please? I'm echoing all over the place here. Thank you. And the reading we had from Maya Angelou, who, along with the personal struggles that most of us have just as being human beings on this planet, of course, was born as an African-American woman at a time that both African-Americans and African-American women especially were not held in high respect, high esteem. And so to move through that with that beautiful grace and to stay still, I rise. And what I find is our purpose, when we know it, when we live it, rises and rises and rises through us all the time. It still rises. You know that. You can feel it in your hearts. Yes? Yes. So last week we spoke about, actually before I do that, I'm going to read from the Joyous Living Journal. I found a spare pair of reading glasses. I moved Friday, as you heard, and some things in my life are in a little bit of a disarray at the moment. Especially since yesterday I was all busy here at the church and then off for a wonderful dinner at one of the Nourish Our Community events last night. Your life's purpose. Joy and happiness are not experiences you find or create. These are the products of a soul in tune with itself and in alignment with life. What calls to your soul? What is your life about? These are questions that reveal your purpose, your reason for being in the world, on the planet at this particular time. Answering these questions will help you discover your purpose. Then seek to be about the purpose that is unfolding in your life, and you will find joy and happiness where you least expect them. Go looking to live your purpose. Be about what you are here for, and joy will sneak into your life in your heart. Happiness will no longer be something you want or look for. It will be the place you live from every day. Isn't that beautiful? So we talked about living your dream last week, dreaming big. And when we start to dream big, what it does is it starts to open up the way for us to live our purpose. Because our purpose is that which wants to come out of us. It calls, it screams, it cries, it dances, it wants to come out of us and express. And so when we open up to the dream, it's the way to express that purpose. But it's really helpful to know your purpose. Because otherwise you can do some big dreams that are not in alignment with your purpose. We'll talk about that in just a minute. So to know your purpose, to live that purpose, to be in alignment with that purpose. And I love the way that the book says it. Joy and happiness become where you live from rather than what you're reaching outside to get. Total difference. Living from that. And you don't have to make it happen. It becomes natural for you. It's your way of expressing. So we are always working toward a purpose. Every moment of every day we're working on purpose. The question is, what's the purpose we're working on? Because sometimes we've forgotten or are not aware of our true divine purpose of why I came here to be, and we start to get other purposes. And so we're going to look at that process, we're going to look at that and see where we are. Being who I really came here to be takes us to where we really want to go. Paul, in his letter to the Romans, had one of those famous phrases that I love. That which I would do, I do not. And that which I would not do, I do. Anybody besides Paul and me have that experience? Yes. So often we want to do our purpose, we want to live on purpose, and we find ourselves not. And there's a reason for that. And we're going to talk about it in a minute. So there's 4 different types of purpose that I would call that we live. We were doing personality profiling yesterday, or typing yesterday, so we're going to do types of purpose today. So the one is where we're living on our true purpose, where we really know what it is, we're living on it, we're in alignment with it, and life just absolutely flows. Part of what I'm doing here is living on my purpose. And so one of the things I've always wanted and have had challenges with getting is support. And on Friday, I had 8 people show up to help with the move. I had another 7 or 8 people who came after the move to help me unpack and get settled in. I have never been so supported in a move in my life. You know, I shared the story over dinner last night with Reverend Sue and Charlie about my experience with the Seattle church, where when we were moving, we prayed for that, and we hired a couple of people to help us with that eventually. And they left, and afterwards, we were still sitting in our storage locker, you know, putting the last couple of things in the truck. It's pouring down rain, as it has been all afternoon and stuff like that. And this van pulls up a couple of lockers down from us, and a couple of young guys get out and are doing whatever they need to do inside of their storage locker. And I realized that I had one more heavy piece that I hadn't gotten taken care of before the guys left. And all of a sudden, we get this knock on our little, you know, door, the storage locker door, and a young man says, "Do you need help with anything?" And I said, "Well, sure. You know, actually, there's this heavy piece." And so we bend over, we pick it up, we carry it to the truck together, and I notice he's wearing a windbreaker type jacket, nylon jacket, and on there is this little logo. It says, "Church of Jesus Christ of the Latter-day Saints." And you know what? I don't agree with Mormon philosophy, but Mormons know how to pick up a box and carry it. And sometimes, you know, sometimes in religious science, obviously not in this church, you know, we get so into, well, we'll know the highest good and greatest ease in your move, David, and we won't be there to help you with it, though. So I love that fact, but I love that this community puts consciousness and practicality together. So thank you so much. You are a blessed and wonderful community, and truly, I've never felt that before. And so that's living on purpose. When I'm living in my true purpose, it's just, it all resonates. But sometimes we're not living our true purpose. And so one of the things we do is we live a compensating purpose. So one of my purposes, my main purpose for being here, is to experience and express God's love. To experience so that I receive it and express it so I give it out. It's the flow, the inflow, the outflow, the give, the receive, God's love. And I'll talk about that a little bit deeper in a moment. But sometimes I don't feel quite like I'm in that love, right? I'm not married, you know, that relationship kind of went down the toilet and it kind of broke my heart. And so I developed a compensating purpose, and to experience love and that kind of a warm, fuzzy feeling through food. Dessert, especially chocolate desserts, even more so. And so you find yourself, when you're doing a compensating purpose like I did, in the Cicada restaurant the other night. And I've also said I really want to take this, you know, off, lose a little weight, get myself, you know, more in shape. And so I've had this wonderful meal, and this particular waiter that I have is rather a buff waiter, you know, and he's looking at that. And he comes over, he's got the check in his hand, he looks at me and he goes, "Do you want to see a dessert menu?" And I hear this little voice in my head that says, "If you want to look like him, say no." And I said, yes, I would. And I had this wonderful, they call it a chocolate tamale, which is a warm chocolate cake with raspberry and chocolate drizzled over it, and a little bit of ice cream, and it's served on a corn husk, and it's very beautiful, it's very tasty, and it's very away from my purpose. I also, by the way, last week had a free gym membership for a week, you know, one of those guest week passes. Did I go to the gym once during the week? No. Living on compensating purposes. And many of us are doing that. Many of us, we start comparing our lives. When we're living on compensating purposes is where we start comparing ourselves. How's my bank account compared to yours? How's my job compared to yours? How's my, you know, whatever it is compared to yours? How's the size of the chive that I find in my soup compared to yours? Right, Sue? I told her I would work that in. We were at the Nourish Our community dinner last night, and Jane Parsons served us this beautiful beet and pea soup, sort of, you know, poured together into the same bowl. Beautiful red and green with a wonderful chive stuck into it. And she got the biggest chive at the table, and she's looking at that saying, and she's looking over at my chive, which was actually probably the smallest chive at the table.
Perhaps it was.
And so we get involved in worrying about the size of somebody else's chive. And we stay attached to it. And so we had a wonderful dance about that. But we get involved, when we're living compensating purposes, we get involved in comparing. Judging. Am I good enough? Are you good enough? Is life good enough? All that stuff. I won't ask you to raise your hand, but I know some of you besides me do that. And besides Sue, too. With love. The third way of doing our purpose is what I call counter-purpose. I can't have what I want, so I'm not even going to bother. Why bother? I really want a loving relationship, but I can't get one, so I'm just going to quit. I really want the job I would love to have, but hey, what the heck, I quit. I'm just going to settle for this over here. We give up. We substitute substances. This is where your alcoholics and drug addicts come from, is that counter-purpose. When I can't get what I want, I'll do this. Take a breath. Probably a few of you have experienced that somewhere in your life, or know people who have been like that. And then finally, there's what I call the destructive purpose. If you've ever seen a little kid who can't get his way and suddenly, knocks everything down, or you've played a game with somebody, if they can't win, they take the whole game board up and just throw it and get mad and stomp off. You've probably heard of people like that. A few of you have unfortunately probably experienced people like that. Hopefully none of you have been that person. Since I can't have what I want, I'll destroy it, or I'll destroy myself. We watched that happen in Santa Barbara last weekend, or the weekend before last. We watched that happen actually with a person in our community who couldn't get the relationship they wanted, so stepped out of life. And so we do that. We watch this happen. Sometimes we experience it in small, subtle ways. I used to be aware of the fact that when I was younger, I had suicide as an issue for my life. And I noticed that every once in a while when things didn't go my way, my first thought was, I'll just kill myself. And I finally healed myself of that, but then I noticed that on a deeper level, that when things didn't go my way, I wouldn't kill myself, but I'd kill the project. I'd kill whatever it was I was working on. If I can't have it, I'll just kill it. So take a breath. And so these are the 4 ways of living purpose, or 4 kinds of purpose. And you might want to look at where in your life you are with the purposes that you're living, and what they look like and what they feel like. Because I can tell you the last 3 don't produce joy and happiness as their natural outcome. So how do I find my purpose? How do we find our purpose? Oftentimes our life history is our guide for our purpose. And oftentimes we misread it because we think it's taking us off purpose, but it's really, as the song said, the personal struggles, as Maya Angelou's poem referenced, it's what's happening around us that we overcome, that we rise above. That's showing us what is our life purpose. So one way of doing it is to ask myself the question, what do I love? What makes my heart absolutely sing? Not what do I like? What's pretty good? Okay, chocolate's pretty good. But as we talked about last week, smile, is worth, 2,000 chocolate bars? Was that this service or was that the next service? Must have been the 10:30 service. There was a statistic I came across that said that a single smile is worth 2,000 chocolate bars as far as the brain stimulation, without the caloric aftermath. And when we smile, when we're genuinely smiling from the deep well within us, from that deep joy and deep happiness within us, when we're living on purpose, we live in that state of joy. We live in that smile. And so what is it that I love? What is it that I would do even if they didn't pay me to do it? What is it that I lose all sense of time in? I'm going to guess for these 2, probably music is one of those things. They're here to be expressions of music on this planet. That's their purpose. I've known Anton for a long time. I've not met Laura quite as, I think I've met you once before a long time ago, but that music is part of it. For me, ministry is an expression of that love. My love of God, and then sharing that. What is it that you love? What is it that you absolutely, and most of us when we look at it, when we think about it, it's something that's so normal and so simple and so easy, it's kind of like, well, yeah, but that's just kind of what I do. You know, I think I've shared before that I got my call to ministry because my now ex-wife wanted to, you know, she got a real blatant big call to ministry, and I went with her to the information meeting about ministerial school just because we did things together in those days. And I remember I was driving away from that school, from that meeting, and all of a sudden this little voice said, why wouldn't I go to be a minister? I'm the kid who was building altars in my basement saying Mass while my friends were out playing baseball. I'm the one who's been the Taoist and the Zen Buddhist and the pursuit of God for my whole life, and this deep, deep need and pursuit for my whole life, but I've always shoved it in the background while I've done other careers and other things and stuff like that. So often it's that thing that seems so, oh, it's just what I do. It's just who I am. Yes, it is what you do, and it is who you are, and it is your purpose for being here. And we don't value it because it's just, oh, well, doesn't everybody do that? And the answer is no. And nobody does it in the particular unique way that you will. Nobody does it as you will. You're here to be the unique expression of the purpose. Even if your purpose is the same, to experience and express love, you're going to express it in a different way. That's probably his purpose, and he's here to express it musically. I look at that keyboard and I go, ooh, I shouldn't touch anything over there. You wouldn't like it if I did. You'll love it when he does. But I'm here to be a minister, and I'm here to be love in other ways. I'm here to share my heart with God. Another way to look at what's in your purpose is what causes you the most pain. When you look out in the world, what causes your heart to hurt the most? When you look in your own life, what causes your heart to hurt the most? That tells you where your heart is. If you can't get to what you love, at least get to what it is that when you look at it, you go, oh my God, I so want to change that. It's kind of the flip side of the same thing. Anything that engages your heart, because your heart is where your purpose lives. What causes me the most pain? And finally, another way to do it is to look at your childhood. I came across this about 15 years ago. I was coming out of another relationship that didn't work out so well. I have lots of those in my history. That's one of my learning curves. I remember I was sitting in a meditation. We're going to actually do this kind of a meditation in a few minutes. But I was sitting in a meditation in a friend's house where I was staying. And all of a sudden, it was like I was lifted onto a mountaintop, and I could see the whole of my life out on the plain in front of me. And I suddenly got that everything that I had done had happened to me. And I, as you probably picked up, I've not had the happiest childhood. Certainly not the worst, but not a happy childhood. And a childhood that was not filled with love. Everything that had happened to me was to point me towards what I needed to do. And what I came to realize was I came here to heal my belief that I cannot experience God's love in human form. I came here to heal my belief that I can't experience God's love in human form. I knew that I could experience it on the spiritual level, but I had this belief that here on this planet Earth, I can't experience it. There's a vacuum, there's a wall around it where God's love does not penetrate. That was my sort of belief system. And I realized the positive way then of saying that was, so I have come here to experience God's love in human form. Oftentimes, if we look back at our childhood, we have set ourselves up with obstacles to overcome because I had to go and experience that belief first. If I believe that I can't experience God's love in human form, I had to go live the experience of not experiencing God's love so that I could learn how to get over it. Does that make sense? Yes? And so a lot of us have lived childhoods, have lived parts of our lives for us to get over whatever it is and to learn out of that process. You know, if we go to a movie, we don't like movies where nothing particularly happens for the whole movie. We like to see a hero or somebody who has challenges and they overcome them. Isn't that a much more fun movie to watch? But when we experience that as our life, all we start to do is look at the problem, the thing to overcome, and we forget the overcoming part of it. We don't see ourselves as the hero. We don't get that we're creating our own movie and can direct it the way we want to, that we are the crown of creation. We do have the ability to say, yes, this is what I choose. And so I remember on that day I said, I no longer choose to believe that. I choose to experience God's love in human form. And ever since that day, my life has opened up to a greater and greater and greater experience. Now, it hasn't been without its ups and downs, but it's the overall greater experience of God's love in human form. I knew that no person was the source of my love. I knew that no amount of chocolate was the source of my love. There's nothing out there that's the source of my love. Can I experience that? Can I live on that purpose? And then I started saying, what would I love as a career? And ministry pops up. What would I love to do? What church would I love to be at? This church pops up. And it's when you start to live on your purpose, everything starts to align. If you had told me, 15 years ago, you could make a living being in love with God, I would have said, exactly how does that work? I'd probably have to be a minister, and I'm not a minister, and I'm not going to be a minister. I don't want to be one of them. And now I are one. So we look sometimes at what's not working in our lives, and what causes the most pain point in our lives to say, so what is it that if I actually got over that, I would be in alignment with my purpose? Does that make sense? Are we together? Good. I'd like to do a guided meditation in that process. I'd like us to look and say, and Anton's going to play a little bit of background music for this. I'd like us to come to an experience of what is my purpose. Some of you already know. How many of you are pretty darn clear that you really, really, really know your life purpose? Great. And so some of you are not, and that's fine. And some of you, like me, know your life purpose and sometimes gets off. We're doing dessert instead of love. But to get in touch with that life purpose, and we get in touch with it when we renew that feeling, when we renew that heart energy, when we renew that vibration where the hair stands up in the back of your head, or your neck, where you feel the God bumps, it starts to move you. So are you ready? Would you be willing to do a guided meditation around that? All right, so let's take a deep breath. If you feel safe and comfortable doing that, gently close your eyes. Let yourself just relax. Release yourself from having to come up with any answer. All we're going to do is just simply sit, and I'm going to speak some words. You may have an inner guided idea. You don't have to come up with this today. You already know it. It's already in your soul. We're just opening it up. So imagine now that you're on a path. You begin to walk down a path. This path is going to lead you gently up to the top of a mountain without a whole lot of effort on your part. Notice what the path feels like under your feet. Look around you as you're walking on the path and notice what you're seeing. Listen to any sounds that you might hear around you on the path. Notice any scents, any smells that you might experience as you're walking down that path. And you find yourself gradually rising. You're above the tree line. This path leads you gently and directly to the top of your own personal sacred mountain. Your mountain. And you find a place on that mountain where you feel absolutely grounded and centered, safe, loved, and powerful. You take a seat there. And from this place where you are seated, begin to be aware of what's around you. Again, just notice, what does the area right around you look like? Are you sitting on a nice smooth rock? Are you sitting in a grassy meadow? Do you have a nice easy chair that arrived there at the mountaintop for you? Just notice what's around you. Again, notice any sounds, notice any smells. Imagine in your mind that you can reach out and touch something in this space and just notice what it feels like. And take in a good deep breath of that clear air. Now imagine that out in the plain in front of you, the meadow in front of you, is laid out the ability to see your entire life as you've lived it so far. Notice what you've struggled with. Notice what has resonated with you. Notice what you've absolutely loved. Just be aware. Now allow yourself to notice if there's a theme that runs through all of that. Is there a consistency that runs through that? Is there something that I'm here to learn? If I've had these struggles, if I've had this life, what must I have believed to create this life? Once I understand what I might have believed to create this life, what might I believe to rise above this life into the life that I truly want? What have I come here to learn? What have I come here to be? Why did I take on this body on this planet at this time? Why did I choose to have the parents and the siblings and the growing up experience that I did? What did I want to learn and be? And what is it right now that wants to sing through my heart, wants to dance on this mountain air? What is it that would lift me out beyond this mountain even higher? Who have I come here to be? What is it that wants to rise, like Maya Angelou's poem, through me? That no matter what anyone does, it is rising through me and continues to rise and will rise and lift me as I express it. What is it that if I was sassy with the world, I would be doing and living as a purpose? Breathe that in. You're about to leave this space, and before you do, ask your inner wisdom self, is there anything else that I need to know at this time? Here I am tapped into the vast infinite wisdom of the universe. Is there anything else that I need to know at this time? And so very gently allow yourself now to step out from your mountain top retreat, knowing that you can return here anytime you want. Find that path that begins to lead you back. Step onto that path and begin to walk and return back to this place. And as you walk that path, notice if anything has changed. Does anything look different or feel different, smell different, sound different? Allow yourself now to very gently arrive fully back into your body in the chair in this room, here at the Center for Spiritual Living in Redding, California. Perhaps wiggle your fingers and toes, maybe roll your shoulders to ground yourself in your body. Be absolutely fully present here. And when you're ready, very gently open your eyes and be fully present. When you live your purpose, a joy rises up from within you. And you walk around in integrity with the universe and you know it. And stuff happens out here. It does. But you walk around grounded, centered, like that poem that Maya Angelou wrote. No matter what's happening out there, I, the God that I am, rises. Say that with me. I rise. I rise. I rise. One more. I rise. We close with a quote from Ernest Holmes. Who doesn't say it as poetically as Maya Angelou, but does say it. Through our own individualized subjective mind, we contact the law of the universe and make use of the mind of God. Got it? We make use, through our own individualized subjective mind, of the mind of God. Our conscious mind is limited, but the subjective part of us, being universal, is without limit. This limitless medium we may use for whatever purpose we will. If we use it for destructive purposes, we shall bring destruction upon ourselves. The universe is foolproof. But there is no liability in using any creative power if we use it constructively. And so you are here to be on purpose. You are here to be a constructive expression of the mind of God in whatever unique way that you are here to be, to show up as that. So let us take that in and move into prayer. Music behind the prayer would be great. So I know that there is only one mind, the mind that is infinite, pure love, pure light, pure joy, pure glory, power and grace. It is in perfect order, perfect harmony right here and now. And that one mind is all that there is. There is nothing outside of that mind. Nothing is outside of that mind. And so I know that each person here is one of this already, one of this infinite presence that is here to express itself uniquely through each of us individually. It has individualized itself. It has taken the time and the thought and the energy to be itself as each person here. It has taken the time and energy to be you. What a beautiful, powerful blessing if we truly got that. And so I speak my word that we do truly get that. That today, more powerfully than ever in our lives, we get how much we are God in form, living for a specific purpose, a beautiful, expanded, wonderful purpose, and we find our own unique way to express that purpose. And we say yes to that. We don't have to know how it shows up. The how is God's. The how is the universe's. If we say yes to it, it will show up. If we open the door, it will show up. If we knock down the walls of our prison, it will show up. When we finally say yes to our purpose, nothing, no matter what, can hold us back. Nothing. Because the universe is in alignment with its purpose as us. And all we have to do is say yes. So find that place in your heart of hearts where you know your purpose, whether you even consciously know it, but you know that somewhere in that heart that purpose lives, and say, yes, I am willing to be on my divine purpose beginning this moment right now. And so in great gratitude for all of the good that comes out of that statement, the willingness, the opening of the door to the divine, in gratitude, because it will bless your life and it will bless way beyond your life. And it will bless way beyond our time and space. Because when we open to the infinite, it keeps on going and going and going and rippling out. And so in gratitude for all of the good that is expressed for that, and in gratitude for the spirit that is within and beyond and as it all, I simply give thanks. And so we let this go. We let this process go. We don't have to figure it out with our conscious mind. That is not where we live. We live from the intuitive mind, that mind which is connected to the mind of God. We allow that mind to express through us. We say yes to it. We let it be. And together we say, and so it is. Thank you. Thank you. Hey, Anton, can you mute your board for, because I think that's where I got hung up in the first. It is muted. Good. Thank you. Okay. Good morning. Good morning. Isn't that beautiful? I was teasing Anton after the first service that that was not the crown of creation that I grew up with in the late 60s, but it's a really beautiful song, and I love it that which our purpose is, that which sings to us, lives in our heart. It ain't out there somewhere. We're talking today about living on purpose, living your purpose. And so the purpose, what we're looking for, lives in our heart. It's already alive within you. I want to start with a reading from the Joyous Living Journal, which is what our book is this year. I moved this weekend, and various things like my reading glasses got misplaced, and I haven't found the reading glasses. This is an old pair that I had from several years ago that actually did show up. So you know how it is when you move and stuff gets shuffled around, and yet your purpose stays. So I love this. Reveal your purpose. Joy and happiness are not experiences you find or create. These are the products of a soul in tune with itself and in alignment with life. What calls your soul? What is your life about? These are questions that reveal your purpose, your reason for being in the world, on the planet, at this particular time. And answering these questions will help you discover your purpose. Then seek to be about the purpose that is unfolding in your life, and you will find joy and happiness where you least expect them. Go looking to live your purpose. Be about what you are here for, and joy will sneak into your life and your heart. Happiness will no longer be something you want or look for. It will be the place you live from every day. We spend a lot of time looking for things outside of ourselves to create happiness and joy in our lives. At least I have. I don't know, maybe you haven't, but I have, and I think some other people have, and so some of you can probably relate to that, yes? Oh, good. So last week we talked about dreaming big, having a big dream. And what I like to say is that our big dreams are the product or the pathway to reveal our purpose. Because it's our purpose, it's why we are here on this planet, that really wants to be expressed through us. And when we start to dream big, it kind of makes room for that purpose to flow from our hearts. It opens our hearts and we can start to hear the purpose. And then out of the purpose comes the big dreams. And sometimes we have to go about it backwards. What's my big dream? What really resonates with my heart? What calls to me? And so we open up to that big dream. But as we open up the big dream, we find how to live our purpose. We align with our purpose, and that joy and that happiness that we're seeking, that our real way of being here. You do know that joy and happiness is your way of being here, right, on this planet? If you look around at the news, most of us have forgotten that. Most people have forgotten that. But it really is why we're here. And as each of us lives on purpose, that starts to come out of us. It starts to be our way of being. And it doesn't matter the outside circumstances. Maya Angelou in that wonderful poem, Still I Rise, talks about it. And not only did she have the usual challenges and struggles of just being human on the planet, but she was also an African American woman at a time that being both African American and a woman was not a really good thing, was not really held in high regard and high respect. And so through all those challenges, through all that stuff, she can still sit there and say, and still I rise. And there's a part of you, the purpose of you, that is still sitting there in your heart. It does not matter what has happened in your life. That says, still I rise. We teach one of my favorite phrases from Ernest Holmes is, principle is not bound by precedent. The principle, that which is the working aspect of the universe, does not care what just happened. It cares what's happening now. We were teasing, I had some help moving in over the weekend from Reverend Barbara and Reverend Pam, and we were doing, there's I can't remember who it is, I think it's Swami Beyond Ananda, who's a comedian, who does this wonderful thing, but it's he says, we're the church of what's happening now. And to a large extent, we are. We are the church of what's happening now, because if we're in the now, Spirit as the now, my purpose as the now, it does not matter that I fell off the wagon and didn't live my purpose for the last 20 years of my life. Can I live it now, today? Because if I start living that purpose now, today, I start living in that joy and that happiness and that freedom now, today. And yes, I may have consequences from what I did before, and I may have to unbury myself from some of it, but if I start to live my purpose, if I start to say yes to that purpose now, today, it frees me more quickly and more easily. So we start to live that today. We are the church of what's happening now. You are the expression of God of what's happening now. And so we're always working toward a purpose. We are always living on a purpose. As I mentioned last Sunday, the law is always working. Whatever we're dreaming into the universe. And we sometimes are dreaming nightmares into the universe, and we are sometimes dreaming big, beautiful dreams into the universe. We're always dreaming it, and the law always has to respond. It's the same with purpose. We are always living on a purpose. But sometimes we're not living on the purpose that we really came here for. You've met people like that. I know none of you is like that, but you've met people like that. And sometimes we have in our past experienced, yes, that was a joke. We've had in our past times where we're not living our purpose. Some of us, like myself, sometimes get swayed from our purpose. I'll talk about that in a few minutes. Is our purpose taking us to where we truly, truly, truly want to go? Is our purpose moving us towards where we truly want to go, or is it moving us somewhere else? Am I being who I really came here to be? Paul, in his letter to the Romans, one of the classical, this is Paul at his best. Some of you know that I have issues with Paul, but he has really good stuff to say sometimes and then other times not. But one of his fabulous things that he said in his letter to the Romans was, that which I would do, I do not. And that which I would not do, I do. How many of you relate? The stuff that I really would like to do, that I know is mine to do, I don't do that. And the stuff that I really shouldn't be doing, that I know is not mine to do, I do. I had an experience of this just a couple nights ago. I was having dinner at Cicada Restaurant. Enjoyed it. Nancy, where are you? Purnell? Right there in front of me. Yeah, Facebooked me and said it was one of her favorite places. I enjoyed it. And I'm sitting there having dinner, and some of you know that I've been talking about that I need to lose a little bit of expanded consciousness around the middle. And so I finished dinner, it's a lovely, delicious dinner, and the waiter, who's this really buff guy, comes over and offers me, he says, do you want to look at the dessert menu? Now, there's a little voice in my head that says, if you want to look like that guy, say no. And so I looked up at him and I said, yes, please. And I had this lovely chocolate tamale, a warm chocolate cake with raspberry drizzled over it and some chocolate sauce and a little mound of ice cream on the side, all served in this lovely corn husk. It was beautiful, it was delicious, and it was completely not my purpose, and we'll talk about why I had that in a minute. So we sometimes hear our purpose, we do that which we would not do. Because there's 4 ways that we can deal with our purpose. First, we can find our real true purpose and live it. Maya Angelou in that poem talked about that. I remember Dr. Martin Luther King had this wonderful, he had his I Have a Dream speech, but he also had that one where, I believe it was after the bombing of the church in Birmingham, where he talked about that they will bomb our children and we will love them. They will do this and we will love them. They will do that to us and we will continue to love them. That's called living on purpose. That says, I don't care what's happening out there. I don't care what somebody else is doing to me. I will stay on my purpose. And his purpose was about love. His purpose was about seeing an America where white and black worked together and lived together. That was his vision, and that was his purpose, and he held to that. And he kept saying no matter what. So we have our purpose, and we're living on our purpose, and we know what it is, and we stay on it. So my purpose came to me about 15 years ago. I got really clear on it. Was I am here to experience and express the love of God in human form. I'm here to experience and to express giving and receiving. Most of our purposes involve a giving, and all of our purposes. Your true purpose involves giving and receiving it in, sharing it back out. So I'm here to give and receive. I'm here to experience and express the love of God in human form. And I'll talk about how I came to that in a few minutes. So that's my purpose. But oftentimes, when we get frustrated with our purpose, we develop a couple of other things that we can do. One is what I call a compensating purpose. I can't get this, so I'll settle for this over here. So when I'm feeling out of love, when I went through my divorce 3.5 years ago, the relationship broke up that I really valued and I felt out of love, I found out that I could feel loved and warm and cuddly with food. And especially dessert, and especially chocolate. Thus, the expanded consciousness. At the same time, I was not doing any exercise. And so now you understand why I said yes to the waiter. I was living my compensating purpose. Since I can't get love in the way, in the form that I want it, I'm going to do this over here to feel loved. And many of us are living what I call compensating purposes. I can't really do and be and have what I think I want, what my purpose is, so I'll do something else that feels close to my purpose. I'll go for attention instead of love. I'll go for sympathy instead of love. I'll do something else. I really want to be a musician, so instead I will buy a bunch of CDs, or I will become a music promoter. I really wanted to be an athlete. That's what I was called here to be, was to express God through my body. But instead I'll become a manager, or I'll become a fan, or I'll become something else to take that in and not really express who I came here to be through my body. Anybody relate? Yeah. So we develop compensating behaviors, and so many of us are living compensating behaviors. There's a third way we can handle our purpose. We can develop a counter purpose, which looks like, since I can't have what I want, I'm just going to quit and give up. I'm not even going to bother. I really want a loving relationship. Since I feel I can't have it, I'm not even going to bother to look for a relationship. The heck with it. I'll just live alone for the rest of my life. Anybody? Know somebody like that? Since I can't have the job that I want, I'll just settle for this one. You know, I really hear my calling in my career, but my pension in this job is really good, and the benefits package is really good. So I'll just stay there, even though I hear my career calling, my true calling to me. I'll stay there because it's safe, and I don't have to deal with it. See, living on your purpose is risky, isn't it? Living on your purpose is hanging yourself out there and saying, this is who I truly am. And then you run the risk of rejection. You run the risk of, it might not work out the way I wanted it to, or look like the way I wanted it to. You run the risk of, I have to listen to Spirit and listen to my inner spirit, and it may not make logical sense. See, Barbara was so moved by the music that she actually lost the order of service there, which is what happens to us when we get out of our, expanded in there. It's like, the little details don't count. Let's just go for what's the really, important thing. So we didn't welcome the newcomers. How many newcomers are here, by the way, today? Anybody new here? Great. We have a wonderful gift package. If we can get an usher or two to grab. I'm just bringing this on, and we're way out of service. If you could put your hands up just for a minute, the ushers will bring you a wonderful gift package. And by the way, it has chocolate in it, because I designed them. I did it at my old church. I said, if in case the talk gets boring, there's at least chocolate in there. So, we can give up. Since I can't have it, I'm not going to bother. The other thing we do is we substitute substances. This is where we get into alcohol abuse, drug abuse. Since I can't have what I really want, I'll have a drink, I'll have a smoke, I'll have a toke, I'll have a whatever instead. Okay? That's how we get into that. And then the fourth one, the final one, is since I can't have my purpose, I'm just going to destroy. You ever watch a little kid who's trying to build something and gets totally frustrated with it and just finally goes bang, knocks it all down? Yes? Or you're playing the game and you suddenly realize you're losing and somebody does, and they suddenly take the whole board and all the game pieces and just flip it, the heck with it. Uh-oh, I see a finger pointing. That's called the destructive purpose. I can't live my purpose, I can't get my purpose, so I'm just going to destroy everything. We saw that in Santa Barbara a couple weekends ago. A guy who wanted love couldn't get love, and so he decided to go kill everything that looked like love to him. We've seen that with people who are in relationships who take their own lives because they can't have, or who are out of relationship and can't get the relationship they want. That's the destructive part of living on purpose. Take a breath. So just notice where you are with your purpose. So how do I find my purpose? The questions that they started with were great questions. One of the most powerful questions you can ask is, what do I love? And I mean capital L-O-V-E, love to do or be. What is it that makes my heart sing? What would I do whether they paid me or not? What do I do or feel or be? Where am I at when I'm in that place where time just passes and I lose track of time? What is it that I love to do? See, I know that Anton and Laura are in music is a major part of their purpose, obviously. They're here to express musically. And I bet that Anton would probably play music, whether somebody paid him to play music or not. He probably sits at home and plays music. Yes? Great, thank you. I like to be right. They all know this, but I like to be right, so it's very important. What is it that you love to do? What makes your heart sing? Breathe that in for a moment, just what makes your heart sing. Another way to get at it, if you can't get at it from there, is what makes your heart hurt the most? When you look out into the world and you see things happening, what is it that calls you and says, oh my God, I can't let that continue. I would love to stop that. What is it that hurts your heart most? Or maybe you even look at it within your own life. Both of them access your heart energy, which is where your purpose is accessed from. What is it that hurts the most? And so you access the heart. Take a breath. Another way to look at it is, and we're going to do a guided meditation about this in a few minutes. If I looked at my life, and my life was a script that was trying to get me to a point, what is the point that it's trying to get me to? If I look back at my life, and I'll use an example for myself for an example. So I came across this 15 years ago as I was having another failed relationship. Those of you who know me a little bit know that I have several of those in my past history, and so it's an area that I can talk about. I have expertise in how to make relationships not work out. Mary Morrissey likes to say that she has two doctorate degrees, one in success and the other in failure. The school of hard knocks. And so most of us have that. I also know how to make relationships, get into relationships easily, too. So there is that part of it. But I was looking at this relationship that did not work out, again, with a kind of a broken heart. And I was in a meditation in my friend's house. And during this meditation, I suddenly felt like I was transported up to a high mountain, and I looked out at my whole life as it had been up to that point in time. And I became aware from that looking out at my life that a lot of my experience had been a lot of not love. I said, so what is, and it's something like, this was your lesson. You set this up so that you could heal the belief in not having love. And I suddenly became aware that I'd taken form in this world with a belief that said, I cannot experience God's love in human form on this planet. And I was here to heal that belief. And the way to heal the belief was you start off with the belief. You start off with what it is that you believe and having that experience. So I had a whole lot of not love in my life to wake me up and say, how can I get over that and start to be and start to know that I'm safe and loved in this point? Because the belief says that here's this planet, here's God's love everywhere in the universe. I can experience it in spiritual form everywhere I am, accepting right here on this planet, there's a little barrier out there somewhere that blocks all of God's love from me personally. I'm so special. And right here I can't experience God's love in this particular form. Now you get after a while that's pretty illogical, right? And so after what, I started to say, okay, so obviously I'm here to learn that I can experience God's love here on this planet. I can. And that became my purpose. Okay, so if that's my purpose of why I'm here is to heal that belief, then my purpose really is to experience God's love. And if I'm experiencing God's love, I want to share it with others and express it. You see how that comes to the purpose? Yes? No? Okay. So you look at your life and what you've been through and start to say, what is it trying to teach me? What is the lesson to come from it? What is it that I need to learn that would take me up to the higher level? What is that? If I can look at my life and say, what is the belief that I must have in order to cover the life that I've been living? What is kind of that theme that's been running through my life that's perhaps the dysfunctional theme? What is that theme? That's the belief that you are here to heal. Take a breath. We're going to do a guided meditation around this in a few minutes. Oftentimes when we come to our purpose, it's something that is so simple and so us and so core to us that we don't get that it's our purpose. Some of you know that the way I got into being a minister was several years ago when my wife and I were together. She was really called to be a minister, and I went to the meeting about ministerial school with her just because we did things together. And as I was driving away from that, I suddenly was driving down the road, and I remember the exact spot on the freeway where I was, where I heard this little voice say, why wouldn't you be a minister? You were the kid who was building altars in the basement while your friends were out playing baseball. You're practicing saying Mass. I was going to be a good Catholic priest. When my friends were out playing baseball. You're the one who's been the Zen Buddhist, the Taoist, the in love with God, pursuing this all your life. Have you noticed? Wake up. And so we start to pay attention to that purpose. We start to live that purpose. And of course I said, oh, maybe I could be a minister. Because up until then, that hadn't occurred to me. I was a happy practitioner at the time. What is it that's so normal to you, that is so natural to you, that you just do, that you just think, oh, well, yeah, doesn't everybody do that? And the answer is no, not everybody does that. Most of my friends were playing baseball, not building altars in the basement, practicing saying Mass. No, not everybody does it. So that's the thing that sometimes is so deceptive about our purpose, is that it is so ingrained in our lives, and we tend to be already doing it in some way, that it's hard for us to see it. And so it's paying attention. What is it that I just do naturally? What is it that I love to do? What is it that just seems to come through me that, yeah, this is just me? And we're here to express that in a unique way. So I'm going to invite Anton up and Laura up to do a little bit of background music. And we're going to do a guided meditation around listening to and hearing your theme. Are you good with that? Great. So I invite you to take it in a deep breath and relax. And gently close your eyes if you're comfortable with that. Take another deep breath and just relax into the chair you're sitting in. Let yourself be absolutely supported in the chair. Nothing else to do for the moment but just be in the chair. There's no need to get a right answer or a wrong answer. You don't have to get this. You already know your purpose. It's already expressing in some way in your life. All we're doing is opening up to becoming more and more aware of it. And so imagine as you open up now that you begin to step onto a path. You begin to walk this path. This path is going to lead to your sacred mountaintop. But notice the path. What does it feel like under your feet? Is it straight or is it narrow? Is it winding? Does it climb gently or steeply? Look around and see what's beside the path and around the path. Listen for any sounds that you might hear as you walk your path. Any scents you might smell. Perhaps reach out and touch something as you go along your path. Just notice what it feels like. Now allow yourself to arrive at the top of a mountain that is your sacred mountain, from which you can see with far and wide with great wisdom and great clarity. Find a place in that mountain to sit and notice that it is sacred, where you feel loved and powerful, in touch with your deep inner wisdom, in touch with that spirit within and all around you. Look around the space, just notice what it looks like. And again, reach out and touch something in the space, just notice what it feels like. Listen for any sounds. Notice any scents, any smells, any aromas. Now gently seated in that place, you look out in front of you. And down in the plain in front of you, the meadow in front of you, imagine that your whole life is spread out, where you can view it all. You begin to notice from your birth and your childhood. And you invite your inner wisdom self to guide you through any patterns that you might want to notice. You ask yourself, in order to have that experience. What would I have come here and taken birth for? You notice your life as it's gone on from that point in time. And again, just notice the patterns. Let your inner wisdom, your inner spirit guide you to noticing any patterns. Is there a belief that you would have had to have created that kind of a life? And is it a belief that supports you, or is it something you need to learn? And if so, what is it that needs to be learned? You bring yourself up to this point in time and ask yourself, what is it that I need to learn? Why did I take form? Why did I come here to this human birth on this planet at this time? In the particular body, in the particular set of circumstances I am in. Is there a belief to heal, or is there a purpose I'm here for? And as you look back on that life and into the present moment, you ask yourself, where is it that I've expressed the absolute love and joy of my soul? And what does that look and feel like? Where have I been constantly doing it, even though my friends or my family might not have been? Where is it that I feel most wounded, that I would love to create a healing? And if I could put that into a purpose, what would that be? Who did I come here to be? And letting go of any of that past, choose now to be that person that you came here to be. It doesn't matter what the past has delivered. You now get to choose and choose again. And so in that consciousness of knowing and that consciousness of being open, and whether you actually know or just are willing to know, taking a deep breath and let it rest in your body. Let that knowing vibrate every cell of your body and every aspect of your being. Let it ring like a bell throughout your heart, your mind, your body, your soul. Breathing that in, you're going to prepare to leave your mountaintop and come back to this room. So notice your space. Express gratitude, thank that space, and realize that you can return to it anytime you need. Begin to step onto that path that returns you back to this room. Walking that path, be aware of the path itself. Notice if there are any changes. And allow yourself now to gently walk that path back into this room, back into your body, sitting in the chair here in the Center for Spiritual Living in Redding, California. Take a deep breath. Allow yourself to roll your shoulders, wiggle your fingers and toes, get yourself fully grounded back in your body. Be aware of the chair you're sitting in. Take another deep breath, breathe that purpose into your body, into your experience. And when you're ready, gently open your eyes, be fully present here. Pardon me? Podium mic, okay. Sorry. When you know your purpose, it doesn't matter which microphone comes on or not. You live your purpose. It doesn't matter what's happening in your outer life, you live your purpose. Like Maya Angelou, you rise. There's a particular phrase in there, just like moons and like suns, with the certainty of tides, just like hope springing high, I rise. I'll rise. Would you join me in saying that? I'll rise. I'll rise. I'll rise. One more time. I'll rise. I rise into my purpose. Ernest Holmes says it this way, a little less poetically than Maya Angelou. Through our own individualized subjective mind, we contact the law of the universe and make use of the mind of God. Do you recognize that you have use of the mind of God? If you don't, you do. Take a breath. Our conscious mind is limited, but the subjective part of us, being universal, is without limit. This limitless medium we may use for whatsoever purpose we will. Whatsoever purpose. The universe doesn't care. It doesn't have an agenda. Whatsoever purpose you will. If we use it for destructive purposes, we shall bring destruction upon ourselves. The universe is foolproof. That is what we call the law. What you put out comes back. But there is no liability in using any creative power if we use it constructively. And so I invite you this week to pay attention to that purpose, to start to live that purpose. If you didn't necessarily feel that you really got anchored in it during this time, notice what your dreams are like. Notice what your time is. You're in the shower or drinking a cup of coffee or driving down the road, or sometime when you just notice and suddenly it'll pop into your mind and you say, wow, that's what it is. Be open and be willing to have it be made clear to you, and then be open to have the way to live it be made clear to you. Because when we open to our purpose, the whole universe aligns with us. I was sharing at the first service that this weekend when I moved, I had the greatest support I've ever had for a move in my life. I had 8 people show up and help me to do the actual lifting and moving of the boxes from one place to another, and then another 5 or 6 people who came in afterwards who helped me unpack and put stuff away. The last time I moved, we were teasing the first service. I was up in the Seattle church, and I asked, which is a 5 times larger church than here, and I asked for a lot of our friends for help in moving, and they all said, we'll know the highest and best for your move. We'll keep you in prayer. And so we went and hired a couple of guys from the nearby Home Depot to help us out actually doing the move. So I thank you for your community, because this is a community that knows how to pick up boxes as well as how to be in deep consciousness, and that is called living on purpose. And your purpose is love here in this community, as I can tell. And so find the purpose for each of you individually. Find your purpose and live it. Be it. Let's move into prayer. So I know that there is only one infinite presence, that is pure love, pure good, pure joy, pure wholeness, the pure vibratory aliveness of this universe. It is that life energy. It is that purpose-driven energy. It is the power that says, let there be, and there is. That is the mind of the infinite, the mind of God, the mind of the Tao, the mind of Allah, the mind of Jehovah. Whatever name we have given it is beyond all the names, and that is the mind. And we are one of that mind. We're one of it. Right this second. We may have our list of why and what and all that stuff. It does not care, and we have to stop caring too. We are one of that infinite mind and one of that infinite presence. It took the time, it took the caring, it took the love to think you into being and continue to exist as you. And so each of us is here for a divine purpose. Each of us is here to express our divine nature in our own unique ways. And so I speak my word that each of us hears that calling, hears that purpose, hears the how to make it happen. We open to that. We don't have to know the how up front. We just simply have to be open and say, yes, I am willing to be living the purpose for which I came and took form on this planet. I am willing, even if I don't exactly know what it is, I'm still willing to know what it is and be living it and let it live through me. My purpose is greater than my own individual existence, and I allow it to express itself as me. I surrender to that within me which knows who I truly am and how to truly live that here in this time. And out of that surrender comes a release of all the stuff in the past, all the negative beliefs or the beliefs that don't support our life and our aliveness. And we step into that light of day. We step into that power. We step into that grace. We step into that sun, moon, and stars that we truly are one of. And we live from that consciousness. We arise. And for this rising that happens within each and every one of us, for this true nature of the purpose for who we truly are, I am so grateful. For the unique expression of God that each of us truly is, I am so grateful. For each person who has shown up here on the planet at this time to say, yes, I am here to be who I truly am, I am grateful. And for the Spirit within, behind, and as it all, I am grateful. And so I allow this process for each of us to unfold beautifully, perfectly, within our own lives. Again, we don't have to figure out the how, we declare the what. And so we simply say, yes, I am willing to be that. I'm willing to be who I truly came here to be. I live on purpose. It is already guaranteed. And so it is, and so I let it be, and so we are, and together we say, and so it is.